Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Raw report for the uh, 23rd of November 2020. And again, the show is subpar. I mean, that's not news. If you think that WWE putting on a subpar show is news, then, well, you haven't been following our channel very long. Anyway, show recap. Men's Raw team's out, and they're out with Adam Pearce. He speaks about Raw dominating the Survivor Series victory, which, by the way, Survivor Series will be up within a matter of minutes as well. And he thinks they should be rewarded. He's giving them each a chance to uh, state their case as to why they should be number one contender, pretty much. Sheamus congratulates McIntyre on winning the title and called him the MVP of Team Raw. And then, or called himself the MVP of Team Raw. Styles thought this is nuts and thought Sheamus might try to use his friendship to get ahead. Keith Lee reminded them that he secured the win by pinning Jey Uso. Riddle said he beat King Corbin, which makes him King Bro. What? Anyway, he thought winning the title would be dope, as he put it, and he would take McIntyre's sword, which would also be dope. Pearce wanted to hear from Braun Strowman, but Strowman took offense to being called last. Pearce tries to explain that this wasn't a slight, and he headbutts Pearce. Pearce goes down. Lee and Styles checked on him, and they go to break. This segment is completely ridiculous. Like, ultimately, couldn't you have built in the one who gets the final pinfall gets a title shot? If you had foresight in booking, couldn't you have done that? The announcers basically talked about the issues of Strowman being ridiculous. Anyway, there's footage from the Hurt Business giving New Day a hard time about losing. Shelton Benjamin thought they should be champions instead of Xavier Woods, and then they remind them already that this didn't end well for the Hurt Business when they fought before. Alexander gets in Woods' face, demands a title shot. Kofi Kingston didn't seem to like the idea because it was his day off. Woods accepts, so I assume this means we're eventually going to see a breakup of the New Day completely, which might be interesting. I think Woods and Kingston going their separate ways could be good, at least for a little while. So then we get a Raw Tag Team Championship match just because, well, people request it backstage, therefore it must be so. Kingston, Woods against Benjamin and Cedric Alexander with MVP. They go just under 8 minutes, end in a double countout. Benjamin goes after Woods, sends Kingston off the apron. They go into a break about 2 minutes into the match. Benjamin is still going after Kingston when they return from the commercial break, and Kingston makes a tag conveniently right after they return. Referee's distracted. Benjamin Alexander pulls Kingston off. The announcers go about how this would have been a DQ, but Alexander isn't the legal man. But the fans don't really care about DQs, and apparently neither does the referee. Benjamin attacks Kingston, but before they could get back in the ring, the ref called for a double countout. This just was horrible. And the ref actually raised hands of the Hurt Business, and people are confused. Anyway, MVP grabs the mic and challenges them to an immediate rematch. They restart the match. Excuse me. They restart the match, and they go another 8.5 minutes. So in total, they get about 15 minutes or so, a little bit over. Anyway, Kofi and Xavier defeat Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander with MVP to retain the Tag Team Championship. Kingston and Benjamin face off, and they are ready to go before we go back to commercial. Yes, another commercial. And we come back from commercial, and they really aren't doing anything. Hurt Business goes after Kingston's leg, and he lands awkwardly on the outside. He continues to fight back, and he tries to make a tag. Alexander yanks him off. Woods finally gets the tag and goes nuts on both guys. Alexander gives him a DDT. Benjamin follows up with an angle slam. Gosh, I miss Kurt Angle. Anyway, Kingston breaks up the cover. Kingston's out, and Alexander hits a dive while Wood gives Benjamin a sunset bomb for a pinfall win. New Day retain. I don't really understand how this is good for business. Adam Pearce emerges from the trainer's room. He's got a bruise on his head, but the bruise is nowhere near where Strowman actually headbutted him, so his bruises know how to do magic levitation acts or something. Anyway, he told Caruso that doctors told him to take off for a week. He said Strowman had been taken out of the building, and that if it were up to him, Strowman would be fired. Same for me, but a different reason. The character is dead, so why continue to employ the guy? Anyway, Caruso asks what the announcement was he was going to make in the ring before. Bobby Lashley then approaches. Lashley said he's the only champion on Raw to come out victorious last night and wanted a word with Pearce before he made his decision. So hopefully this might lead to Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre at some point. Post-break, Caruso asked Pearce for an update, but Randy Orton comes in and they cut to the announcers. So basically Adam Pearce is so popular that he can't even get his words out. Sarah Schreider interviews Lana. Lana is shocked and surprised, and she's amazed that she won last night at Survivor Series. She says that's a highlight of her career. Well, it would be mine too, to get paid to do absolutely nothing except cry in a corner. And then Sarah wonders what's next, like a title match with Asuka. Lana said she's dreaming of this, but couldn't even think about it right now. I don't know why. Probably because she doesn't want to be there any more than her character does. Anyway, back to Caruso and Pearce. Pearce announces a series of matches where the winners would face off in a triple threat next week. Winner earning a title shot against McIntyre. He said the first match was right now. And I guess he tells Riddle this sometime off camera. Anyway, Riddle's music hits, and they go to the ring. This starts the second hour. Orton and Styles and Lee and Lashley are all qualifying matches also for tonight. Riddle and Sheamus go just under 21 minutes. Not a bad match for the two. Riddle is a guy they should be pushing. I would actually put Riddle to win the Royal Rumble, and maybe Riddle and McIntyre, or switch it and Riddle and Reigns at Mania 37. Anyway, Riddle gets a near fall after a knee strike, and then Sheamus hits white noise from the ropes. Sheamus misses a road kick because Riddle can't stand. Sheamus taunts Riddle and responded with a headbutt. Sheamus gets on a submission, but Riddle counters into a cradle for a pinfall win. Riddle advances to the triple threat next week. I don't think this match needed 20 minutes. I don't think this match needed 15 minutes. It could have been done in 10 to 12 and been fine. But when you have a 3-hour show to fill, I understand why they did it. Also, shouldn't Riddle, who's a former real-life fighter, be winning by submission? Anyway, Asuka approaches Lana backstage, said they could have a title match, and tries to clarify what she said during her interview. Asuka accepted the title match anyway, and unfortunately, nowhere in this did Lana challenge her to one. Asuka heard a challenge that didn't exist. Asuka smiles and says that maybe Lana will become champion tonight, and Lana's basically nervous because deep down she knows she can't do this. Firefly Funhouse with the theme of friendship, and there is a new puppet named the Friendship Frog. No relation to Kermit the Frog, at least not last we knew. Bray whispers into Alexa Bliss's ears, and her eyes change color. So apparently his words cause bodily functional changes. Anyway, um, then we see she smashes the frog, and they do a almost as a warning to the end of her friendship with Nikki Cross. The frog has been um, killed, and this causes Bray to laugh at this. Women's Championship match, Asuka defeats Lana by DQ in just over a minute. Yes, they challenge a match, and things happen in a minute. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler entered to join the commentary. Asuka's on the outside, so Jax and Baszler make fun of her. Asuka dumps water on them. Jax attacks both and calls for the DQ. Jax wanted to put her through a table, but Lana saves her. Jax and Baszler challenge them to an impromptu tag team match of the non-title variety. They go after Lana and beat her up for a while until Asuka makes a hot tag. Well, lukewarm is more like it. And Baszler hits a series of strikes, hits a running hip attack and a German suplex for a near fall. Baszler comes back with a knee strike for another near fall. Jax wants to put Lana through a table, but Lana fights out of this situation, and Lana dodges Jax, and she gets thrown over the announce table. Baszler puts Lana into the clutch. Asuka catches her with a schoolboy for the pinfall win. So Lana basically is the 1-2-3 kid in female form, slipping over when she shouldn't desire to win, only she's got maybe 1/10 of the athletic ability of Sean Waltman back in the day. Anyway, Lana runs away, so she couldn't get put through a table, thus ending the table streak. Riddle approaches MVP in the back, says that he knows MVP's a businessman, and he has an idea for pizza-flavored yogurt. Yak. Anyway, MVP doesn't believe this, and he said he wasn't his bro. Riddle is saddened by this. MVP agreed to listen to another idea next week, but if he didn't like them, this would be bad for Riddle. So apparently, we're going to eventually get Lashley and Riddle if things pan out. Anyway, they recap the main event of the Survivor Series last night. Keith Lee defeated U.S. champion Bobby Lashley with MVP via DQ in a non-title match in 12.5 minutes. Lashley hits a clothesline, but is shocked that he can't take Lee off his feet. Lashley hits a flatliner, but only gets a 1 count, and Lee blocks a hurt lock and knocks Lashley down with a shoulder block. Lee attempts a dive. MVP gets in the way and causes a distraction. This gives Lashley an advantage, comes back with a clothesline. Lashley pushes Lee into the barricade, hits him with a shoulder. Lashley struggles to keep Lee on his shoulders, and Lashley runs towards the post and drives Lee right into it. Lashley fell into the post himself in reality, but they made it look like Lee had something to do with it. And camera focuses on Lee's injury as they go to break. They show a replay, and Lashley works over Lee until he can mount a comeback. And then there's some forearms. Lee responds with a clothesline, or Lashley does. That knocks down Lee. Lee uses a back elbow. Leapfrogs over Lashley. Lee follows with a pounce, and then Lee hits a running crossbody on the outside of the ring, which is just why. Anyway, ref checks on Lashley in the ring. MVP uses the opportunity to post Keith Lee. Keith Lee powered out of the hurt lock, and MVP jumps in the ring, attacks Lee for DQ. Lee advances to next week's triple threat. Saxton thought Lee had the match won, but the match was fine, but at the same time, Riddle, Lee, and I guess it's going to be, my guess at this point would be moving towards Orton. Anyway, Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss promo package. Cross tells Sarah that she didn't give up on Bliss. Bliss gave up on her. Oh, how sad. Cross was done trying to beat the Fiend out of Bliss. And, Nikki Cross is much better than a lot of people give her credit for. I wish they were doing more with her than this goofy storyline. 4.25 minutes, Alexa Bliss defeats Nikki Cross. Cross is going after Bliss. Bliss laughs almost as if she enjoys the pain of it all. She gets hit with a clothesline. Cross continues to attack and drives Bliss's head to the mat before running into the corner. Bliss begins weeping and looking around as if she's surprised to be there. She continues crying, and Cross checks on her. Bliss apologizes and hugs Cross, and she turns the hug into a sister Abigail, which was poorly done. Gets a pinfall, and she smiles at all this. They hype The Undertaker video package and his finals from last night. AJ Styles defeats Randy Orton in just under 13 minutes in the final of the three, qualifying matches for next week. Orton uses a whip on the outside, but sends him right into the bodyguard. Bodyguard comes up and hoists him up into the ring apron. Styles uses a sliding kick and gave Orton his own back suplex. On the announcer's table, this goes to a break. Orton wants to try a superplex, but Styles gets out of the way. Orton avoids a calf crusher and drapes Styles over the top rope. Styles avoids a suplex and uses a chop block on Orton and hits a neck breaker as well. Styles counters a DDT into a calf crusher. This match is really good, actually, if you look at it. Orton gets a rope break. Orton follows up with a power slam for a near fall. Orton dodges an RKO. Or Styles dodges one, rather, and hits an enziguri. But Orton runs away. Orton's leaning against the barricade. We hear the Fiend's music and the lights turn red. And he appears behind Orton. Orton looks behind him, and the Fiend is gone, so apparently Orton is going mental. Orton gets back in the ring, manages to block a phenomenal forearm, but the lights turn red again, and the Fiend appeared behind Orton again. He's gone when the lights come back up. This light stuff is just goofy. Styles gives a distracted Orton a phenomenal forearm, gets the win. Styles advances to next week's triple threat match. If this leads back to Orton and the Fiend, no one wants to see this. That only makes the match quality worse. And anyway, that is the end of Raw. Not a good show. It's at least they're trying to put new talent in a position of authority, but it's still goofy as all heck. Anyway, we'll be back with more right after this.